Mars has captured our imagination for decades, and sending rovers across the red planet hasn't dulled that enthusiasm. Now it's been years since NASA's rovers landed on the surface of planet Mars, and in the days since their touchdown, the rovers have made countless discoveries with multiple instruments including drills, lasers, and an array of imaging instruments that so far have sent thousands of images back to Earth. So here are a few images of Mars in stunning ultra-high definition. A high-resolution view from the Mars Express orbiter shows the boundary between the large outflow canyon system called Casey Valleys in the upper area and the Lunar Planum Plateau in the lower left. The jumbled terrain was scoured by gigantic water flows in the past, which also eroded the upper wall of the 22-mile crater at the right of the image. The volume of water involved was several thousand times the flow of the Amazon River. This image was taken by Curiosity rover on top of green hue pediment. The crusty sandstone cap you see in the foreground is the same length as the pediment, which also forms an overhanging ledge in some parts. At the center is the clay-bearing unit, a region with a unique story to tell about the history of water on Mount Sharp. In the distance at the top of the image is the floor of Gale crater. Curiosity rover at a site from where it reached down to drill into a rock target called Buckskin on lower Mount Sharp. If you look closely, there is a small rock stuck onto the rover's left middle wheel. Mount Sharp, also called Aeolis Mons, is a layered mound in the center of Gale crater, rising more than 3 miles above the crater floor. Opportunity rover captured this image of Cape Verde from Cape St. Mary's at Victoria Crater. Duck Bay is visible in the background. This image shows a dark sand dune in the middle distance. They are part of a band of dunes called Bagnall Dunes along the northwestern edge of Mount Sharp. These dunes are larger than wind-blown ripples of sand or dust that Curiosity and other rovers have visited before. Also, the ripples on the surface of these Martian dunes are larger than ripples on the surfaces of sand dunes on Earth. This stunning image captures the heat-sealed impact site of NASA's Mars exploration rover, Opportunity. The circular feature on the right side of the image is the crater made by the heat shield's impact. It is about 2.8 meters in diameter but only about 5 to 10 centimeters deep. Smaller fragments and debris can be seen all around the impact site. The impact excavated a large amount of red subsurface material. Some diverse geological textures on Mount Sharp. The outcrops in the midfield are of two types: dust-covered, smooth bedrock that forms the base of the mountain, and sandstone ridges that shed boulders as they erode. Also, gravel and sand ripples fill the foreground, and rounded buttes in the distance contain sulfate minerals, perhaps indicating a change in the availability of water when they formed. This full circle scene combines 817 images taken by the panoramic camera on Opportunity rover. It shows the terrain that surrounded the rover while it was stationary for 4 months of work during a Martian winter. Opportunity spent those months on an area called Greeley Haven. The rover's tracks can be seen extending from the south with a turn in place and other maneuvers evident from activities to position the rover at Greely Haven. This view of the Namib Dune covers 360 degrees, including a portion of Mount Sharp on the horizon. The site is part of the dark sand Bagnol Dunes field along the northwestern flank of Mount Sharp. Images taken from the orbit indicate that dunes in the Bagnol field move as much as about 3 feet per Earth year. The bottom of the dune nearest the rover is about 23 feet from the camera. This downwind face of the dune rises at an inclination of about 28 degrees to a height of about 16 feet above the base. Surrounding this 35-meter Beagle crater are many of the rocks ejected during its creation impact. You can see significant erosion on the rocks and walls of the crater, indicating that the crater is not fresh. These amazing features were formed by water billions of years ago. NASA's Curiosity Mars rover discovered them at Greenhue Pediment on February 24, 2020. The Mars Hand Lens Imager called MALI is one of 17 cameras on the Curiosity rover on Mars. It is mounted on the rover's robotic arm. It is primarily used to take microscopic images of minerals, textures, and structures in rocks and soil at scales smaller than the diameter of a human hair, but it can also be used for other images. This is Korolev, an ice-filled impact crater in the Mare-Boreum quadrangle of Mars. It is 81.4 kilometers in diameter and contains about 2200 cubic kilometers of water ice, comparable in volume to Great Bear Lake in northern Canada. A wide view of a location called John Klein. Veins interpreted as evidence of a wet past are common in the flat-lying rocks of the area. This is Whale Rock, and wind has eroded the thinly bedded rock into incredibly thin plates. A large Martian rock. Features similar to desiccation patterns can be seen on the dusty flat plate to the lower left of this mosaic of exposed lake bed mudstone in Gale Crater, a probable dry lake. A rock called Block Island, the largest meteorite yet found on Mars. Another small meteorite on Mars. This image from the Mars Hand Lens Imager camera on Curiosity rover shows effects of using the rover's dust removal tool on a rock target called Christmas Cove. Brushing of this target also exposed details in the fine layering and bright veins within the bedrock of this part of Vera Rubin Ridge. Surface close-up of an undisturbed sand dune. A selfie of NASA's Mars exploration rover, Spirit. A drill hole in the buckskin rock target where Curiosity has detected high levels of silica and hydrogen. A whale track left by Curiosity rover exposes underlying material in a shallow sand sheet in this view from Curiosity's mast cam. An iron-nickel meteorite. This is Lebanon, an iron meteorite about 2 meters wide left to right from this angle. The network of cracks in this Martian rock slab called Old Soker may have formed from the drying of a mud layer more than 3 billion years ago. The view spans about 4 feet left to right. This mosaic of images shows a boulder-sized rock called Strathodon, which is made up of many complex layers. Curiosity rover took this image from a position in the shallow Yellowknife Bay Depression. A lip defining the edge of Yellowknife Bay is visible in the middle distance near the center of the image and in the farther distance on the right. This is Reb crater and it measures approximately 108 kilometers in diameter. An outcrop called Point Lake, which is about 20 inches high and covered with holes. Point Lake stands out for two reasons. First, it forms a small cliff which offers a sense of how a rock unit differs from bottom to top. Second, the outcrop is full of holes. Holes form in rocks by diverse mechanisms. Identifying which mechanism can provide understanding about the rock and its history. This is Vera Rubin Ridge. This distinct topographic feature located on the lower slopes of Mount Sharp is characterized by the presence of hematite, an iron oxide mineral which has been detected from the orbit. Also, the stratified rocks here are cross-cut by veins filled with a white mineral, likely calcium sulfate, that provide evidence of fluid flow through the rocks. This is Victoria crater, an impact crater which is roughly 730 meters wide. NASA's Curiosity rover captured this highest resolution panorama yet of the Martian surface between November 24 and December 1, 2019. This version contains nearly 650 million pixels and is composed of more than 1000 images that were carefully put together. A location called Pillinger Point on the western rim of Endeavour crater. Endeavour crater, which is seen in the foreground, is 14 miles in diameter. This site became a destination for Opportunity rover to examine because observations from orbit indicated the presence of a clay mineral named montmorillonite which forms under wet conditions. This wide panorama was taken by Curiosity rover on December 19, 2019. On the right-hand foreground is Western Butte. The ridge with a crusty cap in the background is the Greenhue Pediment. This image taken by Opportunity rover shows the rover's empty lander, the Challenger Memorial Station at Meridiani Planum. Two sizes of wind-sculpted ripples are evident in this view of the top surface of a Martian sand dune. The location is part of Namib Dune in the Bagnol Dune field, and the image was taken early in the morning with the camera looking in the direction of the sun. Sand dunes and the smaller type of ripples also exist on Earth. But the larger ripples, roughly 10 feet, are a type not seen on Earth, nor previously recognized as a distinct type on Mars. The sand seen here is also very dark, both from the morning shadows and from the intrinsic darkness of the minerals that dominate its composition. This image shows Opportunity rover on Burns Cliff inside Endurance Crater. The walls of the cliff form a gently curving continuous surface. This early morning view from the mast camera on Curiosity rover covers a field of view of about 130 degrees of the inner wall of Gale crater. It was taken during a time when there was very little dust or haze in the atmosphere, so conditions were optimal for long-distance imaging. The right side of the image fades into the glare of the rising sun. The view spans from west-northwest on the left to northeast on the right. Details of the shape and pattern of features on the wall, which include gullies, channels, and debris fans, help geologists understand the processes that have both shaped the crater and transported sediments like sand, pebbles, and larger rocks down to the floor of the crater. This view shows the fine details of the face of Namib Dune. Sand on this face of Namib Dune has cascaded down a slope of about 26 to 28 degrees. The top of the face is about 13 to 17 feet above the rocky ground at its base. Curiosity rover took this image looking into a valley to the west from the eastern side of a dune at the eastern end of the valley. The dune sits between low scarps at a site called Dingo Gap inside Mars Gale crater. The foreground dune is about 3 feet high in the middle and tapered at south and north ends onto low scarps on either side of the gap. The largest of the dark rocks on the sand in the right half of the scene are about 2 feet across. A region on Mars called Orcus Patera imaged by the high-resolution stereo camera aboard Mars Express. Of unknown formation whether by volcanic, tectonic or cratering causes, the region includes a depression about 240 miles long, 87 miles wide and surrounded by a rim up to 1 mile high. Thanks for watching and don't forget to like, share and subscribe.